The most shocking aspect of the NBA's investigation of the Los Angeles Lakers for tampering with former Indiana Pacers forward Paul George is not that the league found enough evidence to slap the Lakers with a $500,000 fine. It's that the Pacers requested an investigation at all. This is not the first time a team has been investigated for tampering, nor is it the first time a team has been found guilty and fined, a league official told BR. It's simply the first time the league has publicly acknowledged it. The Cleveland Cavaliers threatened to ask the league to investigate if there was tampering when LeBron James left them for the Miami Heat, league sources say. But ultimately, the team conducted its own private inquiry. All of this said, investigations are rare. Acts of tampering, as defined in Article 35 of the league's constitution and bylaws, are not the dirty little secret when it comes to how the league functions, though, is that tampering occurs all the time. Teams refrain from demanding an investigation because they accept it as part of the business and they don't want to be held to the same standard. If you're not cheating by the letter of the law, says one former GM, you're not trying. Adds a current Eastern Conference GM, you don't get free agents without it. Tampering is what the whole league is built on. That's the only way you can get anything done. That's why the executives contacted by BR were surprised the Pacers demanded an investigation by the league at all. One called it Bush League. Several others opined that the Pacers must have had some hard proof evidence. Almost all presumed owner Herb Simon was simply too irate about George's proclamation that he would leave in free agency to let him go quietly. While there have been previous instances where teams were upset they lost a star player and suspected the recruiting process began well before his contract officially expired, most have swallowed their anger rather than draw added attention to the fact they were spurned or invite similar scrutiny. You better be careful what you ask for, says the former GM. That kind of disclosure becomes a two-way street. You sure you want the league to look at every phone call and email you've sent? There is a sense around the league, though, that an informal agreement on what constitutes bending the rules versus brazenly breaking them has been lost. It has long been accepted that teams and agents are going to contact each other to explore their respective interests, regardless of the time of year or a player's contract status. To assure that conversations between Lakers GM Rob Pelinka and creative artists agency agent Tara Menz, who represents both George and Lakers forward Julius Randle, remain strictly about Randle is almost impossible. What is to stop Pelinka from expressing interest in George to Randle, who could then relay the information to Mintz or directly to George? Tampering with presumptive free agents has long been self-evident and robust around July 1, when free agency officially begins. As one Eastern Conference GM pointed out, the reports of free agents agreeing to terms with new teams mere hours after free agency has begun makes it blatantly obvious conversations took place long before they were allowed. How many names flash across the ticker 2 hours after midnight saying they've agreed to a 4-year, $64 million deal? He asks. You think that was negotiated in 10 minutes? If you're an agent and you wait until July 1 to find out what your client's options are, you're going to get fired. You'll be sitting there while your client's options are falling off the table. A GM following the rules runs the same risk. Mitch Kupchak served in the Lakers front office for 31 years, the last 17 as a GM with full control over player personnel matters. He was assiduous about keeping a low profile and operating as much by the book as anyone. Maybe the built-in lure of the Los Angeles market and playing for the Lakers spoke for itself, and that approach served Kupchak ably enough until the last few years. After tepid swings and mighty misses on several free agents, LaMarcus Aldridge and Kevin Durant, to name two, team president Jeannie Buss replaced both Kupchak and her brother, executive vice president Jim Buss, in February with NBA legend Magic Johnson and former agent Pelinka to run the team's basketball operations. Johnson first caught the league's attention when he joked about tampering with George on a late-night talk show. Pelinka, Kobe Bryant's former agent, was then cited for having improper contact with Mintz, which prompted the $500,000 fine. What hurt Mitch was he played strictly by the rules. One prominent agent says. He would call you at midnight at the start of free agency and he'd be weeks or a month behind. Former Lakers GM Mitch Kupchak's strict adherence to following the rules of free agency often left him behind other teams in luring star players, many of whom are